had been with Ryan Miller for 7 years. Now he was getting married to a beautiful, elegant Omega. That meant our little arrangement should naturally come to an end. But Ryan said I could make one last request. Wiping the sweat off my forehead, I hauled my heavy suitcase toward the door. I froze for a second, then said with a grin, Don't worry about it, man. We're brothers, no need for formalities. Welcome to Avenor BL, where words whisper love and hearts find warmth. You're listening to an original BL story, brought to life through voice and emotion. Let your heart rest, and let the story begin. I first found out about Ryan's wedding from the news. The tall man had one arm around a smaller, delicate-looking man, both facing the cameras with unreadable expressions. Yes, Ryan said evenly, we're getting married. I patiently watched the whole press conference before turning off the TV. Once the screen went dark, a chill ran down my spine. I couldn't help thinking, man hugging man still looks kind of weird. Huh? I stared off for a moment before realizing Ryan would be home soon. I hurried to the kitchen to start dinner. When he walked in, I had just finished 4 dishes and a soup. At the table, I wanted to ask about the engagement, but remembering how he always said, no talking at the table, I kept quiet. Eventually, he broke the silence. What's wrong? You're unusually quiet today. With his permission, I finally spoke. Ryan, you're getting married? He nodded, showing no other reaction. Couldn't wrap my head around it. So what about me? Ryan paused, looked up, and frowned slightly. What do you mean? It's got nothing to do with you. You'll still live here. I'll find another place for him. I sighed. This world really was something else, so dramatic it gave me whiplash. I tried to correct his thinking. If you're getting married, you should end things cleanly with me. You can't do that to your partner. Ryan frowned, clearly not understanding. What do you mean? You're leaving me? Noticing that domineering streak of his about to flare up again, I quickly tried to soothe him. No, that's not what I meant. I'm just saying my being here could hurt your marriage. And besides, this marriage is a business alliance between 2 companies. You should handle it carefully. He thought about it, then slowly relaxed his brow. You make a fair point. I breathed a small sigh of relief, only to hear him say, but I don't want to be apart from you. Huh? What, do you like me or something? That caught him completely off guard. It took him a while before he finally muttered, You're my Omega. I waved my hand dismissively. Oh, come on. That doesn't mean much, we never had a lifelong mark or anything. Ryan and I stared at each other. He looked unsettled, I was completely at ease. No, I don't agree. Realizing arguing would get us nowhere, I just shrugged and said nothing more. He might not agree, but plenty of others would. That night, Ryan was oddly clingy. He didn't even shower, just wanted to stay close to me. I was exhausted and didn't bother asking why. The next morning, he wanted to take the day off, but I practically shoved him out the door. Go earn money. A real man's got ambitions, you know? Ryan's face darkened as he buttoned his shirt, fumbling with it for ages. Annoyed, I pulled him closer and buttoned it up myself in seconds. Stop sulking. Go to work. You're too young to drown in this kind of nonsense. He looked even more annoyed and stomped out. If it weren't for his cold CO image, I'd swear he would have turned back a few times before leaving. After washing up, I dressed neatly and went out too. Of course, I wasn't going to work. I was going to visit Ryan's parents. Before entering the Miller's house, I deliberately stomped my shoes to make sure the soles were soft enough not to make a sound. As expected, no one invited me to sit once I stepped inside. So I stood quietly in the living room, staring at my shoes to kill time. About an hour later, Mrs. Miller finally appeared, moving at her own unhurried pace. What are you doing here? She asked coldly. Mrs. Miller, I'm sure you wouldn't want the world to find out that your soon-to-be married son is secretly keeping a lover, would you? God, it sounded so melodramatic. Guess I'd really adapted to this soap opera world. What do you want? She asked at last. The proud, dismissive look in her eyes shifted to reluctant attention. Have Ryan send me away, and help me find another job. That's all? She asked, surprised. I blinked, just as surprised. Too little? Fine. Make it 5 million then? You're insatiable. Well, she just had to get the insult out, didn't she? I went along with it cheerfully. All right, then less. We can talk about it. In the end, we settled on a deal. She'd have Ryan drive me away and give me $4,005,000. Satisfied, I left with the bank card. Other than standing for too long and getting sore feet, I'd say it was a productive visit. Now all that was left was for Ryan to actually send me away. Mrs. Miller was a tough negotiator, but she acted fast. That very night, Ryan didn't come home. He just called at 10 to tell me to go to bed early. I cheerfully pretended I didn't know what was happening and replied, "Good night." But to my surprise, Ryan didn't come back for an entire week. Was abandoning me really that hard? When I finally saw him again, there was a bruise on his face, and he looked terrible. The Miller's housekeeper, who'd followed him in, immediately began packing up my things. I didn't ask why. They were here to throw me out, obviously. Instead, I gently touched the bruise on Ryan's face. What happened? Does it hurt? He lowered his head and stayed silent. It didn't take long for my luggage to be packed, a single suitcase carrying the traces of my 7 years here. I dragged it toward the door, following the person sent to escort me out. Then Ryan suddenly spoke. "What else do you want? You can ask me for one more thing." I froze for a second, then broke into a grin. "Ah? Don't worry about it, man. We're brothers, no need to be so polite." Yeah, to be honest, I never really thought of Ryan as my alpha lover or anything. If anything, he felt more like a dependable, overly helpful brother. Because honestly, I wasn't exactly what people here call a real Omega. I used to be just an ordinary guy. Maybe heaven took pity on me, a 28-year-old, single, overworked IT guy, and tossed me into this strange world where everyone seems to think life without romance isn't worth living. And in this world, it wasn't just men and women who fell in love. Men with men, women with women, it was all perfectly normal. Dear God, I get it, you want me to fall in love, but this is a little too inclusive, don't you think? Oh right, here, people aren't divided by male or female. They're divided into alphas, betas, and omegas. Before all this, I'd only ever seen those words in fiction or online fandoms. Never thought I'd end up in a world that actually used them like this. When I first arrived, I was clueless, and terrified someone would notice I didn't belong. So I just kept my head down and learned by quietly listening to others. Fortunately, the person whose body I now inhabited happened to be the quiet, stuttering type. That made things easy. I just had to nod, listen, and let people talk around me. What I didn't expect was just how bizarre people's minds were in this world. One day, I woke up in a strange bed, my head spinning and my body burning with heat. My thoughts went hazy and my surroundings began to blur. Before everything went dark, I remember catching a strong whiff of alcohol. And with what little strength I had left, I reached out, grabbed a corner of someone's sleeve, and whispered, "Help me." When I came to, my whole body ached like every bone had been disassembled and reassembled again. Half asleep, I stumbled to the bathroom. After washing up, I realized there was someone else still lying in that bed. Guess that's the guy I grabbed last night. Right on cue, the man on the bed stirred awake. He was ridiculously handsome. I couldn't help but whistle inwardly, then clapped him on the shoulder like an old friend. "Thanks for last night, bro. If you ever need help, I've got you." The man shot me a cold glance but said nothing. Just then, the door burst open. Photographers flooded in with flashing cameras and shouted questions. I froze. But the man on the bed? Calm as ever. He just got up and walked to the bathroom like nothing happened. Meanwhile, I was left staring at the reporters, totally lost, until someone barked. "Mr. Talone Harrington, are you planning to defy the Harrington family in public?" "Mr. Harrington, what's your relationship with that alpha?" Their voices pounded in my head. I raised my hands, panicked. Whoa, hold on. We just happened to share a bed? What's the big deal?" The room went dead silent for half a second. Then the shouting grew even louder. Fed up, I shoved past them and stormed out. When I got home, I found all my stuff tossed outside, scattered across the ground. The old security guard inside the gate sneered at me. "Mr. Talone said the Harrington family doesn't keep shameless Omegas. You'd better find somewhere else to stay." I stood there, stunned, surrounded by the cold air. Why did this feel so much like one of those old-fashioned CEO romance dramas? Except I wasn't some lucky protagonist. Just a broke side character with nowhere to go. I gathered what I could, found a cheap hotel, and moved in. Being one of the least favored illegitimate sons of the Harringtons, I was broke. Barely enough for rent, let alone food. I tried to find a job, but no one would hire me. Word was the Harrington family had blacklisted me. Anyone who employed me would be seen as opposing them. Unbelievable. Even in this world, the overpowered drama tropes were alive and well. When I was at my lowest point, I ran into Ryan again. The same guy who helped me that night. Except this reunion wasn't romantic, it almost made the evening news. His car nearly sideswiped me. But when I stood up and saw his face, I actually felt moved. "Wow, buddy, you always show up when I'm in trouble. Are you an angel or what?" He just gave me a cold look and turned to leave. Panicking, I dropped to a squat again and grabbed his leg. "Come on, man. Be a good guy to the end. Help me out one more time, yeah?" Ryan's tone was still flat and calm. "I'm not your brother." "Yeah, I knew that. Then I'll call you bro, alright? Just one more favor. I'll do anything in return, cook, clean, whatever you need." Truth was, I had no choice. Ryan was the only person in this world who'd ever shown me kindness. So yeah, I wasn't letting go of that lifeline. Ryan frowned, clearly puzzled by my persistence. "I have a car. I don't need someone to do anything for me." Man, was everyone here this weird? I can cook, clean, even, keep the place warm in winter. I rambled, listing every possible skill I could think of, desperate for him to agree. We stood there awkwardly until his secretary spoke up from behind him. "Ryan, ma'am's hosting a dinner for you tonight. We need to go." Ryan frowned even deeper. Sensing his mood, the secretary quickly added, "Please, sir. The Millers are expecting you. The engagement meeting is important." Ryan exhaled, sounding irritated. "Got it." Watching the two of them, I suddenly had a brilliant idea. I leaned closer and whispered, "You don't want to go through with the engagement, right? I can help you." My eyes were bright with determination. He didn't look convinced. "You? How?" "I can pretend to be your Omega. I even know how to fake the symptoms. Trust me, I'll make it convincing." He hesitated, studying me for a long moment. I impulsively grabbed his hand. "Come on, bro. Just trust me this once, you won't regret it." He sighed softly. "Fine. I'll give you one chance. But if you mess this up, if I mess it up, I'll bow to you 3 times in apology." "That won't be necessary." And that was that. My ticket to survival was secured. Overjoyed, I hopped straight into his luxury car and waved at him excitedly. "Come on, let's go." Inside the car, we exchanged a few quick words. He even took me to buy a new outfit. The fabric was soft between my fingers, smooth and warm. I couldn't help but marvel at how fancy it felt. Ryan glanced at me several times but said nothing in the end. I didn't feel awkward at all. Instead, I grinned and said, "Man, this outfit feels amazing, and it looks great. Honestly, I've never worn anything this nice before." He hesitated for a moment before replying, "You did well today. You can pick a few more later." "Really? You're such a good guy," I said, sincerely grateful. When we arrived, Ryan got out of the car first. I quickly switched out of my carefree mood, shrank my shoulders a little, and moved closer to him, even tugging lightly at his sleeve. Feeling his questioning gaze, I whispered a reminder. "Hey, remember, right now I'm your shy, nervous lover. The poor little Omega who's meeting your parents for the first time. You're supposed to be gentle with me, care for me." Ryan froze for a second before hesitantly taking my hand. "Oh, come on, we're both adults. Why are we acting like this is some high school love drama? I sighed in my head and moved his hand to rest around my waist. He flinched instantly, like he'd just touched fire. I clicked my tongue, lowered my voice, and hissed, "Honey, hold me properly. What, are we some kind of scandal?" The word honey seemed to short-circuit him. His pupils widened slightly, but then he caught on and gently pulled me closer into his arms. Perfect. I immediately put on my fragile little bunny act, wide eyes, nervous glances, a hint of trembling. Whatever it takes, I was locking in this premium meal ticket. Inside the mansion, the scene could only be described as a fashion show of beauty and wealth. If I weren't pretending to be Ryan's boyfriend, I might have been too distracted to even walk straight. But Ryan stayed calm and composed, bowing his head slightly toward the elegant woman sitting in the center of the room. "Mother, I'm here." The woman lifted her gaze, her beauty refined and intimidating. She gave a faint then turned her sharp eyes toward me. "Ryan, who is this?" I forced a cheerful smile. "Hello, ma'am. I'm Talone, Ryan's boyfriend." The woman didn't answer right away. Instead, she looked me up and down like she was inspecting a product on display. Finally, she said coldly, "Ryan, you're being ridiculous again." Her tone was dripping with superiority, like neither of us really mattered. Ryan, however, didn't flinch. He simply replied, calm and steady, "Mother, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I already have an Omega I care about and I'm refusing the arranged engagement." Oh boy. The atmosphere was so tense I half expected dramatic background music to start playing. I almost laughed. But the woman's face hardened. She slammed her hand down on the table. "Outrageous. Do you think you have the right to refuse? Kneel." Wait, kneel? In front of all these people? He's a grown man. And yet, Ryan actually knelt. Out of sheer instinct or sympathy, I knelt too. Maybe it was brotherly solidarity. Or maybe I was just too deep in character. Two dull thuds echoed through the room. Ryan turned his head slightly toward me. Without thinking, I mouthed, "It's okay. I'm with you." The woman's expression darkened even more. She grabbed a teacup and hurled it toward me. Before I could react, Ryan raised his arm and blocked it. What a hero. A true man among men. Moved beyond words, I threw myself into the performance. Wrapping my arms around him, I cried out, "We're truly in love. Please, just let us be together." Cheesy? Maybe. Effective? Definitely. The woman stood up abruptly, her composure slipping. "A nameless Omega dares to speak of love in my house? Do you take me for a fool?" I blinked, confused for a beat, then confidently replied, "I do have a name. It's Talone." The room went silent. Some people tried to hold back laughter. Even Ryan looked speechless. Oh right, she didn't mean my literal name. She meant nameless as in unimportant. Awkward. I mumbled an apology to Ryan. "Sorry, I'm still learning the social cues here." He shook his head, reassuringly, and helped me up. Then, in a steady voice, he declared, "Mother, we're truly in love, and besides, he's already carrying my child." What? I almost choked. That plot twist came out of nowhere. Still, I reacted instantly, clutching my stomach and staggering into his arms. Ryan's mother's face turned pale with rage. She opened her mouth to speak, but I beat her to it, crying out dramatically, "Ryan, my stomach, it hurts." Ryan didn't miss a beat. He swept me into his arms, cool and composed. "Mother, we'll be leaving now. Please cancel the engagement." And just like that, he carried me out of the mansion like a scene straight from a primetime drama. In the car, after we'd driven off the estate, I wiped away my fake tears and grinned. Ryan finally asked, "Do you need to go to a hospital?" I patted my stomach. "Nah, nothing to fix. The only thing in here is air, perfectly healthy air." He sighed. "Then let's get some dinner. What do you want to eat?" This man really knew how to treat people right. "Anything's fine," I said eagerly. Still, when we sat down in a ridiculously fancy restaurant, I started feeling a little nervous. Would the portions even be enough to fill me up? Sure enough, each plate that arrived was tiny, barely 2 bites. I didn't dare eat too fast or too much, afraid I'd look rude. By the end, I was still hungry but pretended otherwise. Ryan noticed. "Are you full? Should I order more?" Quickly shook my head. No, I'm good." Secretly planning to sneak out later for some street food. Knowing I had nowhere else to stay, Ryan offered, "You can pick any room here to stay in. I might need your help again for situations like today." I patted my chest confidently. "You got it." That night, I moved in without a second thought. Around midnight, my stomach growled me awake. I crept downstairs, trying to find a late-night snack. But after checking my phone, I realized no food stalls nearby. Not a single one. I was so focused on searching that I didn't notice someone standing right in front of me until, bam, I walked straight into a wall of muscle. I stumbled back, rubbing my forehead, and looked up. Ryan. The man looked even more intimidating under the dim light, brows drawn in a faint frown. "What are you doing?" he asked, his voice low. I hesitated. How could I admit I was hungry after that expensive dinner? "I couldn't sleep." He narrowed his eyes. "Can't sleep? Or something's bothering you? Talon? Just tell me, are you?" "Okay, fine." I blurted. "I'm hungry, all right? I didn't eat enough at dinner. I mean, it was great, don't get me wrong, but the portions were so small. I'm really sorry." He blinked, clearly surprised. "So you came down here in the middle of the night just to find food?" I nodded earnestly. "Yep, just food." Right on cue, my stomach growled again, loud and undeniable. I pointed to it. "See? Even my stomach backs me up." Once the misunderstanding was cleared up, I didn't feel like going out to find food anymore. I rummaged around the kitchen and found some noodles and eggs. Perfect. I started cooking. While eating, I couldn't help grumbling to Ryan. "You seriously thought I was plotting something? I'm all alone here. Nobody wants me. Even if I had information, who would I give it to?" I slurped up the noodles noisily before continuing. "And besides, why would I sell your secrets? Sticking close to you already keeps me well-fed and alive." The warm noodles filled me with contentment. I patted the table and declared, "Don't worry. As long as you give me a little soup and a bite of meat now and then, I'll never betray you." Ryan gave me that helpless look of his, then turned away as if he couldn't bear to watch me. "How ambitious," he muttered dryly. I just laughed. "By the way, your noodles are amazing. Can I make another bowl?" "Go ahead. Eat as much as you want." "Great. What about you? Want some?" He looked puzzled, as if unsure why I'd ask. "Yeah, I mean, you didn't eat much at dinner. You should have some too. Skipping meals can mess up your stomach." He blinked. "How do you know I have stomach problems?" So I guessed right. I waved my hand like an expert. "Oh, please. 9 out of 10 rich CEOs have some kind of illness. One's crazy, the rest all have stomach issues. That's just how it goes." "Is that supposed to be scientific?" "Nope. Pure experience," I said proudly. "I'll cook you some noodles too. Whatever you can't finish, I'll handle it." Without waiting for his answer, I tossed in enough for 2. I'd been starving for days, and once I started cooking, I couldn't stop. Ryan stood beside me, watching as I dumped every random ingredient I could find into the pot. "Are you sure that's edible?" he asked. "Trust me, it's going to be great." I grinned, showing off my culinary expertise. Ryan might look intimidating, but honestly, the man acted like a perfectly programmed robot. Disciplined, precise, and by the book. Weirdly enough, I found it kind of charming. In the end, though, I didn't even get a taste of the noodles I made. Ryan finished everything, not even leaving a sip of broth behind. Still, seeing the clean bowl, I felt oddly proud. See? My cooking really was that good. I leaned on the table, smiling at him. "So? Was it good?" He remained as straight-faced as ever. "Yes, it was good." I arched a brow, pleased with myself. But I didn't notice how Ryan's gaze lingered, longer and more focused than usual. A few days later, a message came from his mother. You can have fun with that Omega if you must, and the child can even be listed in the Miller family records. But the engagement must proceed. There's no way around it. I clicked my tongue, feeling indignant. Right in front of the messenger, I threw my arms around Ryan and said, "So what, Ryan? I'm just someone you're playing with? Tell me that's not true, honey." The messenger, who had come in looking smug, suddenly grew awkward and pretended to look elsewhere. Ryan gently patted my back. "It's not just for fun. Don't overthink it." The messenger looked alarmed. "Ryan, you know this is your duty as the Miller heir. You can't refuse it." Ryan's face turned cold, his tone sharp. "This isn't up for discussion. Leave." Once the messenger was gone, I stepped back, worry creeping in. What are we going to do? The baby's not real, we can't keep this up forever. Ryan was quiet for a long moment. Then he murmured, "It could be real, actually." "What?" I blinked. "What did you say?" "Nothing," he said after a pause. "Let's just take it one step at a time." At the time, I didn't realize those words, one step at a time, would end up lasting 7 years. During those 7 years, I got pregnant 26 times, miscarried 27. If I'd been able to actually give birth, half the neighborhood kids would have shared Ryan's last name. I once told him this trick wouldn't work forever. But somehow it did. It fooled Mrs. Miller for 7 full years. After a while, I grew numb to it all. This over-the-top world really was terrifyingly consistent. Still, through those 7 years, I stayed by Ryan's side. We got along well, so well, in fact, that even our moods seemed to sync. I was genuinely grateful to him. Without Ryan, I couldn't have survived in this strange world. Sure, he was rigid and had that CEO syndrome, but he was also kind, gentle, and generous. He gave me a job, a home, and even taught me how to navigate the society here. But nothing lasts forever. When Ryan turned 30, Mrs. Miller finally lost her patience. He couldn't avoid the arranged marriage anymore. Before the wedding, he gave me a strange kind of hint. That day, his hand rested on my stomach, his gaze deep and unreadable. I was still worrying for him. "What do we do? You can't fake it this time. If you refuse to marry, everything you've built will fall apart." His hand stayed there, motionless. "There's still one way," he said quietly. "You could actually have a child." Pushed his hand away, half laughing. "Easy for you to say. You know, if someone's willing to have a child for another person, that means they truly love them." I sighed. "But I don't love you, and you don't love me. So how could that ever happen?" His hand slipped away slowly. Then he leaned his head against my knee. After a long silence, he whispered, "Right, you don't love me." Something about him felt off, but I couldn't quite explain it. So I just echoed softly, "Yeah, I don't." In the end, Ryan accepted his fate. I moved out of his house. As the moving truck drove away, I turned back for one last look. 7 years. Such a long time. And yet, it ended so lightly, as if it had never really happened. The movers called out to me, and I forced myself into the car without hesitation. 7 years, I thought. Out of a lifetime, it's really not that much. Ryan didn't come out to see me off. And I didn't wait for him either. From now on, we'd go our separate ways. Back to being strangers, just like we were in the beginning. With the money I had saved, I bought an apartment. Combined with my salary from the past few years, it was enough for me to live comfortably for a while. I quit my job at Ryan's company, planning to take some time off to rest. But every time I set the table for two, every time I left space on the rack for another person's clothes, every time I woke up reaching for the other side of the bed, I had to admit it, I'd forgotten how to live alone. Sometimes, when I suddenly craved something delicious, I'd instinctively open my contacts and tap the number pinned to the top. Then I'd remember. I couldn't just call Ryan anymore and ask him to bring me food. To distract myself, I got a dog. Then a cat. I thought they could fill the empty space in my life. First, they really did make me happy. But the moment I caught myself wanting to send Ryan pictures of them, that happiness faded. I shut off my phone out of sheer stubbornness and decided to start keeping a journal instead, to write down small bits of joy. But somehow, the entries always turned into things like, "The cat and dog are so cute. I wonder if Ryan would like them. He's always so calm, never too happy, never too sad. I wonder if his fiancée can make him smile. Well, I hope so. I wonder what he's doing right now. I miss him. I miss Ryan." When I came back to my senses, the pages were full of his name. My eyes landed on the last line. I miss him. I miss Ryan. And without realizing it, tears began to fall. It hit me then, and I couldn't deny it anymore. I loved him. The first New Year without Ryan arrived. I sat alone on the couch, watching the holiday gala on TV, my cat and dog curled up beside me. I told myself I was happy enough. When fireworks began outside, I got up in excitement, bundled myself and the pets, and went downstairs to watch. They were close enough that I could see them clearly. Bright, beautiful, and loud. I looked up at the fireworks, then down at my phone. No messages from Ryan. Not even a simple Happy New Year. I put the phone away, not quite sure how I felt. After the fireworks ended, I went back home with the pets. At my door, I found a pile of New Year's gifts, boxes and bags, and a small card. Happy New Year. No name. I took the pets inside, then turned back to the hallway. "If you don't come out right now," I said softly, "then let's never see each other again." The lights in the stairwell flickered on and off. I didn't even know what I was waiting for anymore. But then, finally, Ryan came down from the upper floor. I looked at him once, then turned toward my door. "Talon," he called, voice a little breathless. I looked back, cold and steady, the way he'd always looked at me. "What are you doing here?" "I don't know," he said quietly. "I just missed you." I didn't say anything, keeping my face calm like his. He stepped closer and tugged at my sleeve, head lowered. "I don't know what's wrong with me. I called off the engagement. Told my parents I don't want the family inheritance anymore. Talon, I just want to be near you. I want to spend another 7 years with you. 17 years. 70 years. He kept repeating my name again and again, like it was the only thing anchoring him. But I turned and opened my door. "Ryan, even if we're good friends, even brothers, we can't spend our whole lives together. You made your choice before. You thought it through. Don't regret it now. Otherwise, I'll only think I was just your backup plan." He let go of my sleeve. "You're right," he said softly. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have come." In that instant, he turned back into the calm, distant man I first met. That unshakable, emotionless CEO. I stepped inside and shut the door. Then I slid down against it, feeling the weight of everything crash over me. "Go home, Ryan. You don't need someone clumsy and slow like me. You need power, alliances, a marriage that benefits your family." Yes, I missed him. But the moment he said those words, the ache in my chest was stronger than longing. He was lost in a moment of emotion. But I could see clearly, I wasn't where he was meant to end up. Feeling awful, I dragged myself up and started cleaning. My eyes fell on the pile of New Year's gifts. I hesitated. I should throw them away. But I couldn't help peeking. Snacks I liked, clothes that fit perfectly, even a pair of thermal pants I never wore. And a note. "You still need to wear warm clothes. It's cold. You always pretend you're fine." Simple words, but I could almost see his serious face saying them. I smiled without meaning to, then scolded myself for it. No. Better to throw it all out before I start to regret things. I secretly kept the note, though. Then I went downstairs and stuffed all the gift boxes into the trash bin. Back home, the silence was heavy. Even the pets were quiet, sensing my mood. Then suddenly, my dog started barking on the balcony. Worried something was wrong, I rushed over. He was fine, but barking at something outside. The snow was falling heavily, and I could barely make out a figure standing there. Whoever it was turned to leave. A bad feeling hit me. I ran to the kitchen window to get a better look. The person had stopped by the trash bins. Then he reached in. My heart dropped. I didn't even stop to grab a coat, I ran straight downstairs. By the time I got there, he was holding one of the gift boxes. I didn't need to see his face to know who it was. I rushed forward, grabbing his arm. Ryan, are you crazy? Digging through the trash? It's filthy. Snow covered half his body, but he still turned toward me, slow and dazed. I just wanted to see if you kept the gifts. If you didn't, I was going to buy them again tomorrow. I groaned and patted his face with both hands, trying to wake him up. Have you lost your mind? What's wrong with you? He blinked, ignoring my scolding, and said quietly, Your hands are cold. Go back inside before you catch a chill. That only made me angrier. You're worrying about me? Look at yourself, you're half a snowman already. He didn't argue, just kept urging, Please go back. You'll get sick. I crossed my arms, furious. He started to reach out to me, but froze halfway and pulled back, wiping his hand awkwardly on his coat. My hands are dirty, he said. I shouldn't touch you. Please, go inside. I'll leave. He turned, walking away unsteadily through the snow. I grabbed his sleeve again, sighing helplessly. Where are you even going, Ryan? You really have no idea how to win someone back, do you? He turned around, looking at me with confusion and a hint of hope in his eyes. Ryan was never good at avoiding eye contact. He'd always stare straight at you, as if trying to read your soul. When two people look at each other that way, the one who falls first always surrenders first. I sighed, deciding, just this once, to stop running from my own heart. But before I could say anything, he spoke. Talon, he said quietly, can I kiss you? I froze, staring at him in disbelief. That didn't sound like him at all. He wasn't the kind to say something so bold. He pressed his lips together, clearly surprised at himself too. I'm sorry, he murmured. I said it without thinking again, but I didn't want him to take it back. Without giving myself time to hesitate, I tilted my head up and met him halfway. The snow touched my lips first, cold, gentle, then came his lips, just as cold, just as soft. It was a brief touch, no more than a breath, but it felt like time stopped there. Remember this? I said quietly, let your actions move faster than your thoughts. That's how you win someone's heart. Whether that rule works for others, I didn't know. But it worked for me. Who would have thought that liking someone would mean I had to teach him how to chase me? Still, he learned quickly. He pulled me close, wrapping me in his coat, and kissed me again. This time it was deeper, warmer, like a promise whispered between falling snowflakes. When it ended, I leaned against his chest, trying to catch my breath. And just when I thought the moment might linger, he spoke again. Talon, did you lose weight? You haven't been skipping breakfast again, have you? I shot him a sideways glance, half exasperated, half amused. He really had no idea how to stay romantic, did he? Stepping out of his arms, I walked toward the lighted hallway. No footsteps followed. When I turned around, he was still standing by the trash bins, snow gathering on his shoulders, coat disheveled from my hands. He looked abandoned. I sighed and raised my voice. What are you doing? Come on, let's go home. He blinked, startled, then hurried toward me like a kid afraid of missing his chance. Did you mean me? Can I really come in? What, my place too small for you? I teased. Sure, it's not as big as yours. But if you're willing to live here, Ryan, I think it could be our home. My tone was light, but my palms were sweating. I'd never been this nervous before. Ryan stared at me for a long moment, then took my hand, firmly, a little shaky. Can we really have a home together? Of course we can, I said. Forget about whether it's right or not. Let the world chase what makes sense. I'll take the one heart that still burns, even under the snow. Extra section, Ryan's side story. In the script that was written for me, I was supposed to get entangled with Talon because of a setup. He would threaten me to be his shield, and I would use him in return to fend off the pressure of an arranged marriage. He'd chase after me because of my family name, and I'd grow more and more tired of him, disgusted even. In the end, I was meant to give in to my parents' wishes. accept the marriage they arranged for me, and eventually fall in love with my Omega wife. And yes, things did happen exactly as the program predicted. But somewhere along the way I started wondering, what is love, really? I stood beside my fiancé, yet my mind would always drift somewhere else. To him, was Talon doing okay? Was he eating well? Sleeping enough? Was anyone picking on him again? If my heart was always with someone else, could I still say I loved the person next to me? I didn't know. So I searched through the memories, every fragment of them. I remembered when he threatened me to be his protector. He was pretending to cry that day, but I also remember his thin coat and the tired look on his face. I remembered the way he stood so proudly when he helped me block the engagement. So alive, so sure of himself. I remembered how loud he laughed, how carelessly he lived, how he would always wait for me to come home. And I remembered, when I was about to follow the program and drive him away, I caught myself calling him first, just to tell him what I was about to do. He didn't know any of it, of course. He just told me, "Good night," so gently that I couldn't bring myself to say goodbye. Because of that one simple good night, I disobeyed the script for the first time. I remembered his hand brushing over my wounds, asking if it hurt, and I remembered the last time we spoke, when I told him, "If there's anything else you want, ask me now." What I meant to say was, if he asked for me, I would have left everything behind. But he didn't. He just smiled, turned around, and walked away. Without hesitation. Do I love Talon? I still don't know. But I'm certain of one thing. Talon never loved me. After he left, I didn't reach out. I thought he wouldn't want to see me again. Still, my feet kept leading me near his neighborhood. Sometimes I'd see him walking his dog, sometimes playing with his cat. And the longer I watched, the stronger the thought became, if only I wasn't Ryan. If I weren't the man written into this story. If I could just be one of his cats or one of his dogs. No names. No expectations. Just someone allowed to stay by his side. The more I thought, the more I broke the program. My heart, once mechanical, wandered off with him. I still don't understand what love truly is. But I think, if I can spend the rest of my years with Talon, maybe one day, I will.
The story ends here. Below are my thoughts and comments on it. This story may look like just another fantasy romance in an ABO world, but what truly moves me isn't the setting. It's the humanity hidden beneath it. Talon acts carefree, even ridiculous at times. But behind every joke, there's someone quietly choosing kindness in a cruel world. And Ryan, he's the cold, perfect CEO archetype. Until love shatters that perfection, and we finally see the fragile man inside. My favorite line was, "Let your actions move faster than your thoughts." That's not just advice about love. It's about courage, about being human. Sure, this world is exaggerated, but the emotions aren't. Because sometimes the person you think is just a temporary companion ends up being your forever home. Tell me in the comments. If you were Talon, would you forgive him? And if you were Ryan, would you dare to love again? Thank you for listening. You've just heard an original story from BL. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe, and join us again for the next story.